A great philosopher by the name of Socrates once said, "An unexamined life is not worth living." Now, some of you may hear that and be thinking already, Josh, that's too deep for a hump day. Hump days are a hump for a reason. They're supposed to be uplifting. Don't you come with all this deep stuff that's going to give me a headache. Don't, listen, I got you. Don't worry. We're going to unpack this quote using the lens called the mentality of success. And the greatest thing about this examination that we'll be discussing is that you already have all the answers. You already have all the answers within you. And so this should be easy. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a formula of how to dig those things up. All right. So let's jump in. All right. Welcome back. And listen, for those of you who checked out last week's episode, I wanted to start off by first saying thank you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. The support that was received for episode 1 was way more than I ever anticipated. And I got to say, man, you all have humbled this little heart over here with the way that you all kind of leaned into this. And I've been hearing some good feedback, and it sounds like this is being helpful, which is, believe it or not, something I was uncertain about from the start. But I'm so honored to see that someone's getting some out of this. So I'm going to do my part and try not to screw it up. All right. How about that? That's my agreement for our time together here. And we're going to do that by focusing on the mentality of success. But before we do that, let's break down this stressful quote by our man Socrates here. And let's get to the meanings, because sometimes you deal with philosophers and you have to ask yourself, what in the heck is that person talking about? So let's break this down and make it easy for you. When Socrates talks about the unexamined life or the examined life, what he's referring to, this claim is stating that only in striving to come to know ourselves and to understand ourselves do our lives have any meaning or value. That's basically what that means. It means that only in the pursuit of learning who we are do we really truly embark on life value and life purpose. And I think this is, if we were to really go off the rails here and pull back the scope, take a look around your world and think about the lack of value, life value, that we see taking place all around us. And I think this has been one of the most chaotic years I've seen in quite a while. And if you really examine that, you will notice that a lot of the root causes and the common denominator among it all is a lack of value. A lack of value for people, a lack of value for people's beliefs, a lack of value for, someone else's heritage or culture. And it all stems, in my belief, it all stems from a personal void that is on two levels. As I told you in the first episode, I believe the first one is faith, and the second one is what we're talking about today, which is a focus on who we are and what we're here for and how to unpack that and truly define success. So, what do you say we get this examination started, huh? Full disclosure, speaking of exams, I absolutely sucked at exams in school. It's actually quite traumatizing to talk about it, but I just find that to be very ironic that I'm taking you all through an examination when I was so terrible at it. I mean, I would actually pray and ask God to give me the answers to the test. It'd be like, Lord, if you love me, you'll give me the answers to this test. And was inspired too. Like, I just knew God was giving me the answers until I got the results back. And it was quite apparent that God was not on my side. All right. Anyways, moving on. Well, if we're going to talk about examination, we first have to start off with why. Why do we avoid this examination to begin with? Besides the fact that it's really deep and makes us have to think a little bit. But there's more to it than that. So why do we avoid this? And I got two reasons. Two main reasons that we avoid examining our life, which kind of prolongs or it prevents us from embarking on different layers of the iceberg that is you. Like, you are a phenomenal golden iceberg just waiting to be discovered. But here's the reason why we avoid this. So number one is we fall into this thing called the comparison gap. And the comparison gap, I would say, is full-fledged, more than it has ever been in the history of our world. And one of the reasons why that is so is because of this thing called social media. Now, I'm not the social media police. I don't believe social media is the devil, none of that. But I see some of the benefits, but also some of the hindrances of social media. And one of the hindrances is that it's caused a lot of us to, instead of examining our lives, we are too busy swiping and examining everybody else's life. All right, can I get an amen in the back seat, please? But I'm serious. Like we spend so much time seeing moments of people's lives. For instance, I'll give you an example. My wife and I went to take pictures with our son, and let me tell you, that boy was not having it. I mean, from the moment we got out of the car, my father-in-law came up to say hi, and he bawling. He just started crying like he had never seen my father-in-law. Meanwhile, he sees my father-in-law more than he sees me. You know, he sees there every day during the week. But it started bawling, was just not having it. Like, why y'all pointing this big black thing at me? I don't know what that is. Never seen it before. My mom and dad had me quarantined. I don't even know what this stuff is, right? Just not having it. But if you go look at them pictures, if you go look at the outcome from them pictures when they were all, fixed up and my skin looks phenomenal, even though black don't crack, but still my skin ain't that good. But you get what I'm saying, right? You look at the pictures and it looks great. But nobody knows that little boy was crying his head off, that we were getting stuck by every little thorn in that wasn't even a garden. What was it? Forest? Whatever it was. Had thorns I hadn't even seen since I was in Immokalee. It was a great experience, but it wasn't like it looked on the camera. All right. So that's a long way to say that we do the same thing when we get on these social media platforms and we spend time examining other people's lives. What that causes is and don't take my word for it. There was actually a study, and this study came from the Economic Times, which is weird because usually they don't do these kind of studies, but they found that negative emotions like jealousy and envy are two of the main things that research found kind of sprout up in people as they browse through friends and family's pictures. And these things lead to feelings of inadequacy, and they give rise to other negative feelings. So here's the thing. These feelings have been proven to lead to, get this, a lack of productivity. It's also led to people wanting to, get this, seem busier than they actually are. Meaning he wants to keep a person busy without really doing much work. Why? Because when I look on social media and I see this person over there hustle, then I need to feel like I'm hustling. Or I see this family over there and they look happy, and so I need to go out and find me some of that happiness. And so we just get busy. And before we know it, we hit a wall because we've gotten all this busyness engaged, but we have no substance to show for it. Come on, are you getting this? Do you know someone, or are you someone that has gone through this cycle where you're just busy, but you don't feel like you're getting anything valuable accomplished? You could, and I'm not saying 100%, but you could be falling into the comparison gap, which is, I would say, one of the main reasons why we avoid, and this is kind of an indirect way that we avoid examining our lives, all right? So just take it easy on the swiping and comparing yourself, because ain't nobody really that happy, let me tell you. We all got days. If you're looking at my life thinking it's something that you want, trust me, you do not. The only difference between your life and mine is I got thorns that I'm aware of. You don't know them, so you think it's better than it actually is. So keep your thorns, enjoy your life, and let's all work at this together. But let's not compare, because we all got greatness within us. We all have success, innately written on our destiny. And so let's just dig that up. You don't need to compare ourselves to the person with the big house or the big car, whatever. You get what I'm saying. So I'm going to move on, but you get my point, right? We need to not avoid, or let me say that again. We need to stop avoiding examining our own lives because we're too caught up in everybody else's. All right, that's my piece. Number 2, The second reason why we avoid examining our own lives is because we have a poor outlook on failure. And here's another way to say this. You ever, began a journey to do something new and felt so intimidated, just so intimidated because of these three words: I don't know. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to end. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know where to look first. And instead of pressing through that resistance, we back off and avoid any further examination because it's stressful, it's overwhelming, and it kind of backs into some of those inadequate feelings we were talking about. But that is what I would categorize as a poor outlook on failure. Let me tell you something, man. Much of our journey will always begin at I don't know, and that's okay. Much of your journey and anything that you want to accomplish, and even the things that you know are attached to your being, will be hard. And there will be, moments of I don't know. If you don't think this podcast had a lot of moments of I don't know in it, then you are mistaken. But I'm here. I'm speaking to you because we must press through the I don't know, because there's somebody on the other end that needs what's within us. I was blown away when I saw the stats from the first episode, and you got people in Alaska. I'm like, Alaska? I don't even know nobody in Alaska, but somebody's listening. What could your outlook on failure or your poor outlook on failure be keeping you from engaging, which could bless someone else's life? What is behind that I don't know door that is just waiting to catapult you into some of the most fulfilling days you've ever experienced? I would say there's a lot there. And so let's move forward and talk about how you can get there, how you can unlock that door and move past the I don't know and stop scrolling through every social media site comparing yourself. How can we do that? Well, we can do that by focusing on what I like to call the mentality of success. Now, the mentality of success is broken down into 4 zones. I call them zones because we can move in and out of them. There's no linear fashion where you can just, you go from one and you never return back to the other one. No, they work in zones. And the 4 zones are this: dreams, discovery, development, and decisions. Again, if you're writing this down, which I'm sure nobody is, but I'll say it again anyways, it's dreams, discovery, development, and decisions. These 4 zones will help you better examine and define success for your life. And here's how you should walk through these. Start with the dreams. Start in that zone, because I think that's where we are in our purest state. We are I think kids are the greatest ones to learn from in this zone, because when we are children and God begins to, I heard a speaker once say at a conference that our dreams are like God's whiteboard, where he just illuminates our imagination, with all these drawings and visions of what we were created to be or what we can be a part of accomplishing. But I think at some point, the evil thing called reality sets in and we forego those dreams. But I would challenge you not to do that. Examine those dreams, because underneath those dreams may be little golden nuggets that you can use to define what success looks like for your life. And here's an example. Here's how you can tell what dreams have substance and which ones don't. So I am a great example because I've had a lot of dreams with no substance, okay? So the first one that comes to mind is when my grandmother asked me early on in my life what I wanted to be when I grew up. I shouted back out to my grandmother immediately that I wanted to be a garbage man.
What?
Now, at that point, I knew nothing about garbage men, nothing about how hard they work, nothing about the strenuous task that is those who work in our environmental services division. But my reason for wanting to be a garbage man was because I had seen so many episodes of the Ninja Turtles where these guys had this pimped out dump truck, and I decided I want one too. And the best way to get one is to become one, right? To become a garbage man. That's the example of a dream with no substance. And I use that tongue in cheek Your dreams may not be, that lacking of substance, but maybe your dream is like my dream was when I was going to college. I told my mom I wanted to be a businessman. I have no idea what that even means. I just wanted to make money because I grew up in a poor town. And to me, success was really attached to how much money you had. Now, if I were to examine that, you get to a root of, do you really want to go to college to be a businessman? You're not even that good at math. Like that's not even something that you enjoy. Why are you saying this? The reason why I'm saying this is because I had not examined that. In fact, here's a fun fact that it's probably embarrassing to admit, but hey, whatever, I'm here already. My friend, if he's listening, he's probably laughing when I say this because he was with me. We were in the history class, I think our senior year, trying to figure out where the heck we gonna go to college at. And I kid you not, y'all, him and I sat there on that computer in our history teacher's class during lunch because he let us use it. After we got done looking at Black Planet, we went to the college of our choice, which was Valencia College, and I kid you not, we looked up the female to male ratio. That was how I chose my college, ladies and gentlemen. Which school had enough women in it that I would not have to deal with all this competition to, not have my own fair share of women to pursue? That was the substance for me going to college. Are you kidding me? My mom was probably swerving right now because she was paying for some of this stuff. But that's how we chose college. That was one of the parameters. You know what the other parameter was? Music. Music had substance to me. Music was something I would go home, I'd close the door, I'd take out my little terrible sounding Casio piano, not even really knowing how to play keys, but I just wanted to produce music and I wanted to write music. Get this, because I wanted whatever I was writing to impact someone listening. There's substance there because you're listening to a podcast that was inspired in order to impact people. You see, the more I dug into and examined that love for music, it started at, I want to write music and I want to make a lot of money so that I can be successful. But that grew into, you know what? I'm not really the type that likes to be on the stage in front of everybody singing and doing all that. I actually prefer writing. Well, why do I prefer writing? Because I can kind of tap into when I'm writing and I can kind of think ahead of what the person might feel or what they're going through. And I can write towards that. I can write a melody to try to heal that or speak life into that. And substance immediately begin to grow. And here's what happened. Let's be real. I thought by 21 we'd be some major, writers and be on somebody's record label. None of that happened. We weren't famous. We didn't, we were basically just a duo of failed singers at that point. But here's why the depth of that season of that dream did not kill the substance of the dream. Why? Because it was examined. And for our time today, I think we should just stop there. I wanted to get into the other 3 zones, but like I told you, this podcast, I wanted to keep it fluid. And my instincts are telling me this is a good place to stop for today. Because I want you to not just hear this and let it go in one ear and out the other. I want you to really take some time and examine the dreams that you've had or have. And really look at and dig for substance. And if you're wondering, if you're still, Joshua, what does that mean, substance? Here's a hint. What in those dreams that you have or had, which ones were centered around serving others? That's a great indicator that a dream has substance when it's not all about you. When a dream expands out to, if I accomplish this, a lot of people will benefit. That's a dream that has substance. So here's a task for you, should you choose to accept it or not. I want you on your phone or on a piece of paper, whatever works better for you in your brain, write down the dreams that you can remember from the time that you started dreaming to today. On one side of the paper, I want you to write down those dreams. On the other side, I want you to connect a line and write on the other side the substance. If they have no substance, don't even stress it. Just put no substance. I've opened up the floor by telling you all of my dreams had no substance, so don't feel bad about yours if they have none. But I want you to really focus on and circle those that do have substance. And write what was the substance? Is that still present in your life today? And if it's not, I want you to make a commitment to examine that a little bit further so that we can start to implement those things, implement that substance into your life. And that's the first step towards defining success. That about wraps it for today's episode. Listen, I thought we'd get into all three zones, but the good news is I ain't going nowhere. So next week, we'll jump into the next one, which is discovery. And I hope you're getting some out of this. In fact, I don't want to just hope. I want to know for sure. So go ahead and like, subscribe, and please comment. What are you getting out of this? Is this helpful? Do you feel like this is kind of bringing, if anything, just a small amount of clarity to your life? My hope is that it is, but I want to hear from you. So make sure you subscribe. Again, this is available on all major platforms. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you next week. But in the meantime, in between time, remember, success is your destiny.